How long after we abolish laws do you think, like, if we decided laws were a bad idea and that controlling people was a bad idea, so like we legalized everything: murder, rape, molestation, theft, like how long before the very people who were claiming that we don't need a government and we don't need someone watching over us to make sure we're doing the right thing, how long before those very people try to become the ones ruling? Like, rules are only what we make of them, right? So if we just kind of decide we don't want to follow them as a whole, like everyone, then what would that mean? Like if we just decided that murder was fine, how long before someone that was originally pro murder is like, wait, this is a bad idea? Like, yeah, freedom, all this other stuff, but you can't really be free if there's always a rule, and you can't really be free if you're living your life in fear. So, eh, I don't know. It's confusing. Life is confusing. Death is confusing. Everything's confusing. Do you think if we all just agreed that today was tomorrow, would it affect anything? Like, yeah, there's schedules and things that we all have planned. Like, today is Thursday. On Thursdays, we take out the trash. Okay, but what if today is Friday? Yeah, I'm gonna have to wait on an entire week to take out the trash. But would it change anything in the long run? What would happen if we all just decided that time didn't exist for a 24-hour period or for a 1 minute period? Like, what would happen if we decided to wait an entire minute and just decide that that minute was last minute? How long would it take for there to be some type of repercussion? Considering the fact that it is nearly impossible to describe a color to someone without saying that color, what would happen if we just renamed all the colors? Like, red is no longer red. Red is blue. Blue is purple, and purple is yellow. Like, what would that mean? You know? What would be what would be the outcome? Like, of course no one would actually do it because there's no point. But is there a point or isn't there a point? What is the point of naming it in the first place when the only way that we know what a color is by the name of it? Why did people trust doctors to tell them how to be healthy? Like a doctor says, "Oh, eat healthily, like eat fruits and vegetables and all this other stuff." Why would you trust them when they make money off of you being sick? It doesn't make much sense, but it kind of does. We as humans inevitably trust in the idea that other humans are out for not our throats, but to further ourselves as a species. Like, we are not inevitably selfish, except for ourselves as not an individual person, but ourselves as who we are as a group of people, as a society, as a family. Like, yes, it is selfish for someone to have $1 billion. But is it still selfish for them and their family to have that $1 billion? Is it still selfish for them, their family, and multiple charities to have that $1 billion? It it becomes kind of a gray area. How many villains do you think actually exist? Like people who do evil things for the purpose of being evil or being inherently selfish. Because that's kind of rare. It seems like a lot of times when people do evil things, it is for what they believe to be the right thing, you know? Like I get it. The road to hell is paved with good intention, but you have to really sit and think about it. Like the whole obviously Hitler was a terrible person, right? But from his perspective, he was only doing what he needed to do to save his country. And like Dexter, the TV show Dexter. I know everyone knows about this. He's a serial killer that kills serial killers and rapists and child molesters. And there are very mixed reviews of whether or not he is a good person. Like, is he a bad person because he kills people, or is he a good person because he's delivering the justice that is nearly impossible to deliver within a court system? It's it's a very confusing idea of what is and what isn't evil. Is it evil because we decided it's evil because we have our own moral code that was ingrained to us by a person that died millions of years ago, or not millions, like thousands of years ago? Like some guy like Confucius or Plato decided that this was bad, so it must be bad. How long until we decide what is and isn't okay? Like, there's changing in morals as of today. There are people who are deciding that homosexuality is no longer a horrible moral dilemma. It's just a thing that people are. It's just a way to love. And then there are other people who have decided, like, definitively, that it's an evil thing. But is it? What is and what isn't evil? Is it evil when it's selfish? Is it evil when it hurts other people? Or is it evil when it hurts other people without the intention of healing other people? You know what I mean? Like, is it evil because you think it's evil, or is it evil because there is something innately wrong with the action? If time travel did exist, if it does exist, it would exist throughout all time, right? Because if time travel existed in the future, then time travel into the past would mean that time travel exists in the past. Now, I have no doubt that there would be somebody somewhere who figured out how to travel through time. And there have been little instances where it's kind of a conspiracy of whether or not that person time traveled. Do you think there would be laws upon time traveling? Like, at what time of day can you time travel? At what length of time can you time travel? And time traveling would be so regulated. It seems like it would only be done by government officials and by people who have extreme clearance. And it would be dangerous because diseases that we have now are highly mutated and would wipe out the entirety of civilizations in the past. Like, the common cold of today would just destroy indigenous peoples. So it's a little concerning, the idea of time travel, because what if time travel is the thing that caused the Black Plague? Like, what if the Black Plague was just syphilis and we didn't know it was syphilis because it's an evolved form that we don't have yet and is in 70, 80, 100 years in the future, and somebody decided, oh, I don't have any symptoms, I'm just going to go back in time, and then it became airborne, or they got bit by a tick, and now millions of people died in Europe because of one bad choice. Like, how many of these infectious diseases that have wiped out people are not exactly from a disease from that time? And how many times have we thwarted terrible, terrible action? Like, How many times have we avoided a terrorist attack because somebody in the future decided that that was a pivotal point, and by ending that pivotal point, it would help heal the future? And why is it that we are so obsessed with time travel? Like the idea of going back in time and fixing something you did wrong when you could fix it before you do it. Like, you know that something will end up wrong, so why do it in the first place? Why wait until later to fix something that you could have never broken? Aliens exist. There is no doubt in my mind that aliens exist. There is no way that we are the only intelligent species, or we are the only planet that has life, right? It doesn't make sense to me that we would be the only ones. So, if aliens definitely exist, do you think they look like us? Do you think they act like us? Like, clearly they would have different languages and things, but do you think they would have similar cultures and religions and ideals? Like, do you think that they have found a way to travel to us yet? Do you think that maybe there are people walking around who look and act just like us and are not us? Like, do you think that we have alien DNA because they figured out space travel way before we even had the thought to look at the stars, and now we have kind of forgotten that they were even here in the first place? Like, the ideal of Greek and Roman gods was that they would come from the stars and then would copulate with our people, our women, our men, and then procreate and make these demigods with extraordinary powers. Do you think that maybe we've just mixed so far that we don't have the powers anymore? Or do you think that maybe we all have our little magics? Like, I have a person that works in an office that I used to work in, and we had prepackaged coffee, and this coffee was prepackaged. There was no way to fuck it up, but this one person made the best coffee, and it made no sense because it was just the little prepackaged Keurig pods. So why was theirs better than anyone else's? Why are some people innately good at art or science or math? Why are some people just good with animals or good with children? Why do some people survive falling off Golden Gate bridges and being burned half to death? What if some of us just have more of that God DNA than the rest of us? What if some of us just have more of the alien DNA that is slightly different? What if, you know? Do you think that if those aliens came today and people and the aliens that are their own people decided that copulation was possible, do you think the government would have regulation on it? Like, they clearly have no problem introducing religion into state. It's the reason why people want to ban things like abortion and want to ban things like gay marriage and transgenderism. Why wouldn't they want to ban the mixture of our DNA and their DNA? You know what I mean? How many rules would there be? Like, you couldn't live in a place with them, you couldn't go to school with them. It would be like segregation all over again. But how would that work? Because segregation really only worked because of the physical difference, like the visual difference between black people and white people. The visual difference was the only thing that was like an idea. the whole thing with homosexuality, the only reason is because people could see it, right? And then there was the fear of the mixing of like homosexuals, right? So a woman and a woman living together was kind of suspicious, and a man and a man living together was kind of suspicious. But there was no knowledge that they were gay unless they outwardly said it or were being physically intimate in public. Now, how would they segregate people, aliens who looked just like us? How would it be controlled? Do you think it'd be more like the Holocaust where they had to wear pins and things of the nature? Do you think their religions would be considered terrorist religions like Christianity does to Islam now? Leave any strange questions you have in the comments down below, or make a video about it. Everyone get into the YouTubes. Just make sure to tag me. Post it on Twitter and tag me at Allie Loves K. Uh, you know, just get involved. Ask questions because there can be no answers if no one asks. Yeah. Have fun, guys. Adios.